In 1974, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun, in the US, the father of rocketry. He said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. And we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians."
And finally, earlier today, the Russian Federation recklessly conducted a destructive satellite test of a direct ascent anti-satellite missile against one of its own satellites. The test has so far generated over 1,500 pieces of trackable orbitable debris and hundreds of thousands of pieces of smaller orbital debris that now threaten the interests of all nations. In addition, this test will significantly increase the risk to astronauts and cosmonauts on the International Space Station, as well as to other human spaceflight activities. Russia's dangerous and irresponsible behavior jeopardizes the long-term sustainability of outer space and clearly demonstrates that Russia's claims of opposing the weaponization of space are disingenuous and hypocritical. The United States will work with our allies and partners to respond to Russia's irresponsible act.
And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites.
What the Russians did today with these 1,500 pieces of trackable orbital debris poses a risk not only to those astronauts, not only to those cosmonauts, but to satellites, to the interests of all nations. All right.
Space is a war-fighting domain. We may even have a Space Force. We'll develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force.
Then there would be asteroids.
A planet-killer asteroid has been spotted in Earth's vicinity, the biggest in years. I'm serious about this. Can't make it up.
Can't make it up.
We could be on a collision course many, many years from now. The thing is, scientists aren't sure exactly when. CNN Space and Defense correspondent Kristen Fisher is here to explain. Just how worried should we be, Kristen?
Well, you know, Anna, these asteroids definitely pose a risk, but it's a different risk. But I tell you what's more concerning is almost how they were found. There were 3 large near-Earth asteroids that have been hidden by the glare of the sun, kind of lurking there, and it really poses a problem for telescopes on the ground that are critical for spotting these potentially Earth problem-causing asteroids, you know, or asteroids that pose problems for Earth. You have to use telescopes to spot them. And so astronomers found these 3 asteroids. 2 of them are big enough that they are categorized as planet killers. How they were found. There were 3 large near-Earth asteroids that have been hidden by the glare of the sun. You have to use telescopes to spot them.
You have to use telescopes to spot them.
Which means that they are about 1 kilometer or 0.6 miles across. And one of those asteroids is the largest potentially hazardous asteroid to be discovered in the last 8 years. And it does have an orbit that could come close to Earth at some point. We just don't know when, likely many, many generations from now, but certainly could pose a threat down the road. And this is something that happened back in 2019, something very similar, where astronomers noticed a potentially dangerous asteroid just a few days before it made a very close pass to Earth. And so, you know, Anna, we've talked a lot about NASA's DART mission recently, this mission to slam a spacecraft into an asteroid and push it off course. NASA was successful in doing that, but in order to make that technology successful, Anna, you have to find the asteroid. You have to see it well in advance. And the reason the discovery announced today is so concerning is because these asteroids, again, just snuck up on astronomers, so it would not allow NASA the time to deploy the kind of technology that was used, successfully used during that DART mission, Anna.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess we'll track it. We'll see what happens. This is kind of alarming.
What is this thing?
It's an asteroid, sir.
How big are we talking?
Sir, our best estimate is 97.6 billion.
It's the size of Texas, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Dan, we didn't see this thing coming?
Well, our object collision budget's $1 million. That allows us to track about 3% of the sky. And begging your pardon, sir, but it's a big... Sky.
And the ones this morning?
Those are nothing. They're the size of basketballs and Volkswagens, things like that.
Is this going to hit us?
We're efforting that as we speak, sir.
What kind of damage are we?
Damage? Total, sir. It's what we call a global killer. The end of mankind. Doesn't matter where it hits. Nothing would survive, not even bacteria.
My God. What do we do?
Categorized as planet killers. It's what we call a global killer.
And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies.